there, and welcome to Crochet Therapy. I'm Barbara, your host for this tutorial of the Elizabeth dishcloth. This is one of our episodes in the series all about that stitch. And this is our very first one, and this stitch is simply gorgeous. It is the most amazing stitch I've ever seen, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and get started. What we'll need is a crochet hook, and I am currently using a Clover Amour crochet hook size H 5.0 millimeter. You will also need a needle, a darner. You will need scissors, and you'll need some thread. So I'm going to be using a cotton thread, and it is a 100% cotton peaches and cream original. And the reason that I'm using this is because we are going to turn this stitch into a dishcloth, just like this one. Let's get started. The first thing you need to do, get this out of the way. The first thing that you will need to do is chain 30. So we're going to make a slip knot on our hook, and we are going to chain 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Once we have our chain, we are going to do what is called the Elizabeth stitch, and I will explain that to you. The Elizabeth stitch is very simple, however, it appears to be tricky. So I will walk you through it. In order to do what is called the Elizabeth stitch, on this first row, what we're going to do is skip that first chain, and we are going to insert our hook into the second chain, yarn over and pull through and hold. And I put my finger on these two stitches, these two loops on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over, and I hold on to that one, and go back into that same stitch, yarn over, and pull back through. You will have 4 loops on your hook. And then what you will do is yarn over and pull through all 4. Okay. The next step is to chain 1. And then if you'll look at our chains here, the next chain is right here. We are going to skip that chain, and we are going to go into the very next chain, and we are going to do another Elizabeth stitch. Insert our hook, yarn over. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over. So technically we have 3. We're going to go back into that stitch, yarn over and pull up. And now we have 4 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through all 4 and chain 1. And we are going to do this same technique all the way down the row. We're going to skip, go into the next chain, insert the hook, yarn over, yarn over and pull through. We have 2 loops on our hook. I like to hold on to them, yarn over, hold on to that one, and go back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through. We now have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 4 and chain 1. So I'm going to do this all the way down the row, and we'll do this together, okay? I'm skipping 1, going in. I'm going to insert hook, yarn over again, insert into that same stitch, yarn over, 4 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through, chain 1, skip and go into the next. So just watch as I do this stitch a couple more times. And it is tricky, this first row, so don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. especially when you're using a cotton that likes to separate, and this one does like to separate a little bit. No worries, because once we get going, this is going to be such an easy stitch to do. It really is. Okay, don't forget to chain 1 after each Elizabeth stitch. Skip the next, go into the next. This is typically considered an intermediate stitch only because, you know, if you are brand new to crochet, you may not have the dexterity or, you know, you may not be able to finagle this and hold on to all your stitches while, you know, you go back in with the stitches on your hook. However, with a little practice, you can master anything. So don't let this intimidate you. Okay, we only have a little bit more left on the row because essentially we are stitching into every other chain, so that makes it good. Okay, skip 1, don't forget to chain, skip 1, go into the next stitch. Okay, so I have 2 stitches left. This last one is just where the knot is. I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to skip this one and go into that last stitch. And in that last stitch, I am going to make an Elizabeth stitch. Okay. Now, instead of chaining 1, I am going to chain 2. 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. So this is what it's going to look like to begin with. And this is how we are going to do all the rows from now on. Are you ready? At the end of each row, we are going to do an Elizabeth stitch in that last stitch. We're going to chain 2 and turn our work. Do you see this first stitch right here? This stitch right here. So here's the Elizabeth stitch, and then here is this very first stitch right here. This is where we're going to do the next Elizabeth stitch. Are you ready? Go into there, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and we end up with 4 loops on our hook. We're going to go through, chain 1. Now, this is the stitch right here where we are skipping right here. And then we're going to go into this next one. Now, it's easy to find because if you pull just a little bit, you can see how that opens up right after that Elizabeth stitch on the previous row. So that's very easy to find that stitch that you are supposed to be doing the next Elizabeth stitch in. This is such a beautiful stitch. Don't forget to do your chain 1 after each Elizabeth stitch. Okay, and then go into this stitch, and this is how we are going to do each row. Now, what you want to do is, depending on how tightly you crochet or how loose you crochet, you may need to do a few more rows or a few less rows than what I have done. But I have completed 24 rows using this Elizabeth stitch. And 24 rows will look like this. And the nice thing about this stitch is Look at the texture on this stitch. It's just gorgeous. The nice thing about this stitch is the top and the bottom will be flat and even, and the sides will have a really nice texture to them. I did not put a border on this one because I really enjoyed this texture. It just looked like little beans on the sides, and so that's what I wanted to continue. That's what I wanted to keep. But what I did was, when I got to my desired length, and a lot of times what I will do is fold it over and see if this is, you know, a perfect square. And if it's not, then what will happen is you will have this happen. Do you see that? But because this one was a perfect square, it squared up really nice. And so that's how I always determine how tall, how many rows I'm going to do for a dishcloth. Okay, so this one happened to be 24 rows for me. And then what I did, when I got to the end, all I did was chain 11 and then slip stitch back in, and I made a loop. You do not have to make a loop. I just felt like making a loop on this one. But this is the Elizabeth stitch, and